there's like so much of this that it's just eating at us. And so we're eating at it, right? So let's just like think about like taking that out, taking that worry about the stress out, taking the stress of having things in there that are going to tempt you. Next place is fridge. Like look in the fridge. If you start looking at most of the jars in your fridge, like if it's a sauce, if it's a dressing, if it's, I don't know, whatever's in there, you're going to see that probably 80% of it has a lot of added sugar. So those things, they either need to be out of sight, out of mind, or else maybe do what I do, give them to my neighbor. My neighbor loves, my neighbor loves it when I clean out my refrigerator because I always have all these wild things in there. And so she enjoys, trying new things. But we want to start looking for ways that we can clear out the stuff in our pantries and in our fridges. Okay. Any questions on that? I mean, that's pretty straight up, but just clearing it out. So the next thing is that think about, well, let me just share this with you real quick. Okay. I want to just share the guidebook. If you've already looked at it, good for you. And if you haven't, then we're going to look at it. And let's see if I can share this with you real quick. Okay. So here's your guidebook, and Steph put it in the comments for today. And what we've got is our lips. We just had too much fun with these sugary lips. So your pre-work is what we're talking about today. You're cleaning out your cabinets, your fridge, your freezer. We're going to come back to recipes in just a minute, but I just want you to know this is in here. And even more so, what I want you to see in here, when you get down to about page 6, I think, or 5, we've got an entire list for you. Okay. I mean, this is not set in stone. Well, maybe some of these things are set in stone, but this is your list. So if you look at it, you can see, and I don't know if you can see my screen, but basically we've got, for sugar food groups, what to eat, what to avoid, starchy vegetables and grains. The only thing that I put over here, because this is not a gluten-free diet that I'm talking about. This is not a Whole30, and we can talk about those in a minute, okay? But you're just going to be looking right now as far as sugar reset, getting rid of some of the processed box foods that are full of junk. Because when you look at the box foods in your cabinet, you're going to see one of two things. They're either going to have very, very few ingredients, or they're going to have like a lot of ingredients, and there's going to be sugar in there. It just happens. Going on down, basically nuts and seeds, oils. We said avoid oils with added sugar. There are some out there. Why would you put sugar in them? But they're there. Peanut butter. Peanut butter has a ton of sugar in it if it's not like just peanuts squished. And then your meat, poultry, fish, eggs. Something about this is that, and you should keep this in mind, is when you're eating less sugar, eating more protein tends to make sugar cravings become lower. Okay. There's two things. One of them, drink more water. And we'll talk about that. In fact, let me make a note because I want to talk about water. So definitely hydration, and then more protein. And the protein, whatever your protein is here, we said, avoid processed meats with nitrates. That's just good to do if you can anytime, no matter what you're eating. But in general, if you can raise your protein, you're going to find that you're going to be less hungry and less cravey, right? Less cravey. One thing that I did was I don't usually eat a lot of cheese. Right now, I've got more cheese than normal in my cabinets or in my refrigerator, because when I want a snack, that's what I go for. And then dairy, once again, and I talked about this already, but well, ice cream, duh. Frozen yogurt. Frozen yogurt is not necessarily healthy. It usually has a lot of added sugar. And then there's like whey protein. Whey protein, this is on here. I'm not going to talk about it right now. Whey protein tends to be one of those things that there's a lot of stuff that points to the fact that we should probably avoid it. And this is from somebody who I used to eat whey protein quite a bit as my protein powder. And then over here, a couple of other things. Beverages. If you're drinking diet beverages, this can be a stopper for a lot of people. If you drink diet beverages, let's try and not drink diet beverages. Okay. I can't say that very clearly, can I? But if you're, well, yeah, we're not going to go into why you don't drink diet beverages, except that they're actually really, really bad for you. I think probably worse than regular beverages. But if it's one of your, triggers and addictions, then start cutting it out. Start doing your darndest to make it less and less, probably forever. And then over here, I would suggest that for your sweeteners, let's just talk about this for a second. I don't suggest that you use sugar replacements like coconut sugar or maple syrup, or what's some of the other ones? Honey. Like, they're all sugar. They're just not called sugar. They're called something else. When you're taking sugar out of your diet, just go ahead and remove these things. It's just 30 days, ladies, right? So just take them out. Also, skip the artificial sweeteners, okay? Going back to why you shouldn't be drinking diet sodas, same thing, okay? If you want something that is a sweetener, stevia is actually a leaf. When you're buying stevia, what you want to look for is 100% stevia. You don't want it processed into a liquid, which I was using at one point, and my nutritionist was like, "Oh my God, that is crap." I was like, "Oh, sorry." And you don't want it. You want to make sure that it's not mixed with something else, because a lot of times they'll say it's stevia, but then if you look at the label, it's going to be mixed with something else. But stevia is a leaf. I don't know if you've ever tasted one. I bought the leaf of stevia before, and it is ridiculously sweet. So those are some of the things to look at. All right. And hang on just a second. All right. Questions about that? Anyone have questions? Let me make sure I'm over in the Facebook group too. And you guys are very quiet today. Yesterday you were like wild women. So if you've got questions, just let me know. And then, since you don't have any questions, I'm going to ask you questions. So tell me this: who uses sweetener options right now, like sugar or honey, because that's supposed to be so much better for us than regular sugar? Anybody? Oh, Lisa's got a question actually. And the question is, do carbs come into play with reducing the sugars? That is a really good question. So here's my take on this. My take on it is that we are starting with a sugar reset. Okay. I think that sugar is the more addictive of the foods. Okay. What you will find is when you have less sugar, you're going to have better sleep. When you have better sleep, you're going to crave less starches. Now, that said, this is not a a gluten-free thing, but I would suggest that when you buy starches, whatever, and carbs, like, at least if you don't mind saying like what some of your carbs are, that'll be helpful too. But like, I eat a lot of lentils. I eat a lot of beans. I eat a lot of what I had last night was a pasta, and it was made out of rice, quinoa, and corn. So it was a pasta, but it's made out of something that is not just straight up wheat. Wheat tends to be, well, I'm not a nutritionist, but I would just say wheat tends to be a little bit less helpful when we're doing this. Okay. So looking for some options. I mean, there are crazy options out there. Like, I like pasta. Okay. And I also know that just chowing down on pasta like I used to do all the time. Like, all right, you want to know what a child I am? For years, my lunch of choice was a box of macaroni and cheese. Like, I mean, it was like, why not, right? And I can tell you why not now, but at the time, that was kind of like what I ate. So the reality is that if you can start avoiding some of those, replacing some of those, you're going to be replacing them with healthier varieties, stuff that's more whole, like lentils, or those are the kind of things that I would never say don't eat. I would say, like, cut down on the processed carbs. Bread, okay, bread's one of them that always comes up. If you are, if you like bread, this is slightly an acquired taste, but it's called Ezekiel bread. You find it in the frozen food section. Ezekiel, oh yeah, Steph just asked me. So Ezekiel bread is actually sprouted. So it's made out of sprouted grains. And there is some science there that says it's better for us. Okay. I can tell you that it's got protein in it, which is weird. And it doesn't have sugar. For me, it seems to be a much better choice, especially than if you're just doing like white bread, like plain old white bread. Someone in our mastermind group, she made fermented sourdough bread last night. Like, it looked stinking amazing, right? And when you're making bread that is food, right? Like, it's really food, it's not just white bread filler, then you're getting nutrition out of it. So to me, anything that you're eating that is leaning toward nutritional value, then you're better off. Okay. And Donna just said that, she uses honey and maple syrup as, as the replacers. Everybody does. This particular person that I follow, who's a really good cookbook writer, right? She puts maple syrup in, I don't know, a third of her recipes. And instead of worrying about whether or not I'm going to add maple syrup, I just don't put it in my recipe. Tastes just fine to me. Like, I mean, and maybe it's because I am a little bit less inclined to want sweet, but it tastes just fine. If you want to replace something with sweet, right? Applesauce, unsweetened applesauce, just straight up applesauce. One of the girls is using that whenever she has a recipe that calls for, some sort of sweetener. She just uses applesauce instead, and she says it's just fine. Like, a lot of times we don't even need it. Okay. And so Rita says that she cooks with, I don't even know how to pronounce it, sucralose. It's like 1-to-1 with sugar. And yes, I don't know what it's made out of. Most of the sweeteners I tend to be very reluctant to use. Anything that's been made or processed, I tend to be a little bit less excited about. That's, it just seems to work. It works for me. And what I find is that it comes back to staying as true to the real food as possible. Just like it's like the sprouted bread or the homemade bread that has lots of grains and foods in it. It's just more of a nutritional boost. And there's something else here that I don't usually say, but I'm going to just say it today, is that when we have food with a lot of nutrition in it, like it's real food, it's filling food, then we don't have the cravings that we get. Like, if you just think about it, like when we eat, I'm just going to call it crap, but when we eat food that isn't nutritionally dense, then we tend to want it more. We have more cravings. And so doing your best to remove the cravings by removing the junk out of the diet is going to make a huge difference. And then, you know what, later on, and I'm just going to say this right now, like, I do not believe in lots and lots of I can't have this, I can't have that. Okay? Because we're all like deep down inside, we're probably like little kids. And when you say no, 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 no to yourself all the time, then you're going to be like, damn it, I want that. Right? So this is a 30-day reset. All right? It's not a lifelong reset. I don't believe in crazy diets that tell you you can only eat, I don't know, fish and greens or whatever they are. Like there's a lot of them out there. There's a lot of diets out there. I don't believe in them. What I believe in is doing our best to eat the food that's healthiest for us, the most nutritional food, and then we get into what I call the maintenance phase. And maintenance phase happens either 30 days after we do the reset, sometimes 60 days, depending upon how bad the like how bad your sugar issue was. But maintenance is where we're just shooting for 90% darn good, right? And it's okay, because when we break the cycle of the habit of consistent sugar in everything, then all of a sudden we become somebody who can make the decision on what we want and what we don't want. But for right now, what my suggestion is take it for 30 days. Use this time right now and like clear out your cabinets, clear out your refrigerator, clear out the freezer of all the stuff that is going to tempt you, so that after 30 days, you can make the decision where you go next. Okay. I'm going to stop for just a second. And okay, so there's been some confirmation of what sucralose is. And so it's a mix, right? It's a mix of something that's been created. Personally, I would probably try and avoid that more than I would with like just when we come back, you know, a honey, sugar, maple syrup, whatever. And some people ask me about the coconut sugar. So here's the best I know about coconut sugar. I have actually done a lot of digging into it because I was like, well, I don't know if anybody on here knows who Laird Hamilton is, but Laird Hamilton's like this big buff guru out of Hawaii who's like always about the coconut sugar, always about the coconut sugar. Yeah, Lisa's like, I know who he is. He is actually a pretty good looking guy. He's big into stand-up paddleboarding is how I know who he is. And so I thought, well, if he thinks it's good, shouldn't it be good, right? And so I just started looking into it. And what I found is that maybe it's a little bit better for us. Like it's got a slightly lower glycemic level than regular sugar, but it's still sugar. Okay. Still sugar. So at some point you're going to want to bring some sugar back in, maybe some sugar back into your life. And I would say stick to the most natural version of it that you can, whether it's coconut, honey, maple, or regular sugar. But for right now, we're talking about just like taking that out for good for just for the 30 days. Okay. All right. Questions. And I'm going to just ask about questions, and I'm going to check my notes real quick. So one of these things is water. I said I would mention hydration. You know, we all know that we should be drinking water, and it's probably one of the things that people say they drop off the most. And in the end, like my suggestion is going to be that our job is to be like super active. Well, I mean, as active as super active is to you, right? That's what I heard yesterday. Was I heard a lot of people wanting to be more active, wanting to feel more active, feel better, do the things, right? So water is one of those things that you need. Just need it, right? And some people say, oh, I don't like water because it doesn't taste good. It's just water. It's a habit, right? It's a habit. And my habit is I have this jug that I keep on my desk. I finish 3 of them a day. It's just a habit. And so figure out how you're going to put that into what you do. Okay. And the reason is that hydration is super important with what we're doing. Okay. It's going to make you have less cravings. It's going to make you feel better. It's going to keep you flushed out. It's just right. And Steph says that she struggles with drinking water. She drinks a lot of juice instead. So, and Steph, you're not alone. A lot of people opt for the juice, and juice is a lot of sugar. I mean, there's a lot of sugar in juice, and I don't want to say that juice is just bad, because when I'm not in a 30-day cycle, I will use some tart cherry juice in my smoothies because I like it, but I don't use much of it because it really is. There's a lot of juice because you think about it, you've just concentrated, right? You've concentrated all those great great fruits down into this like little small thing of lots. It's like wine, right? Wine's the same thing. It's just lots of concentrated grapes. So think about, Rochelle said she can drink water if it's super cold. And you know what? Oh, Donna, you're right. Donna says her doc says, eat your fruit, don't drink it, which is true. Later, like for the next 30 days, I'd ask you guys to do your darndest to not drink juice. But then later on, if you just go, oh my gosh, I cannot drink water, drop a little bit of juice in it. Stick some lemon in it, like squeeze some lemon in it, squeeze some lime in it. I mean, sometimes people just don't like plain water. I mean, I'm not quite sure why, but just drink the water. Linda says that she has dry mouth, and when she drinks a lot of water, she needs a bit of flavor. Yeah, use the lemon and lime. Lemon, lime, cucumbers. That comes back to like cucumber water. Another one is, and guys, I'm not going to remember the name of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it into the group later because there's a new juice company. And what they're doing is they're doing cold pressed juices. They're shipping them out. It's inexpensive. Like it's, I don't know, let's call it $6 a bottle. It's okay. Like I wouldn't go, oh my gosh, this is just to die for, but it's not bad. You can add some of it to your water. And I think that I don't remember. I think you have to order like, I don't know if it's 30 or 15 or something. But I will put it in later. Let me make a note because it's fine. I have drank a few of them and I find that there's a lot of cucumber in it. There's a lot of kale, celery, the kinds of things that have a lot of moisture in them anyway. But I know that my partner puts them in his water at night because he's not a big water drinker, but it encourages him to drink it. So, whatever's going to get you. Elaine asked about green tea. I mean, I think tea's great. Now, the trick with tea is make sure your tea is decaffeinated, right? I would say at least afternoon. A lot of people say they can drink caffeine up until about 3, but you really want to think about decaf as much as possible because, well, you don't want to get addicted to caffeine like I am, because I can tell you, I'm just going to digress here for a second, but I finally found my, I can't quit this, which was last week. My acupuncturist said, oh, you need to stop drinking coffee because coffee is what's causing you to have joint pain. And I'm like, huh, really? And yeah, I lasted about a day. And then I was just like, okay, but that's 1 cup of coffee in the morning. So keep your caffeine as low as you can. There are lots and lots of amazing teas out there. Okay. Tea can be a lot of fun, and it's going to be one of those things that I talk about when we talk about soothers. But once again, just look at what's in your tea. Look at whether it's the caffeine or there's, any added stuff in it, because some teas have it. I know I've got a chai in my cabinet right now that looks amazing, but it's got like a ton of sugar in it. So I haven't tried it yet. So you just want to look at the labels. Oh, yeah, thanks. Thanks for the honesty thing. I can tell you stories, boy. I'm full of it. So yeah, so there's a lot of different things we can do, but what we're really looking for right now are ways to make ourselves comfortable, happy, feel good while we're making these changes. Okay? Because these are, depending upon how much sugar you're having right now, um, stopping sugar can be kind of difficult, right? I mean, I know it. Um, Stopping, if it's wine, stopping wine can be difficult. They all have, and we'll talk about, I don't know if we're talking about tomorrow or Thursday, but we're going to talk about triggers, because like everything we eat has a trigger associated with it. Everything we drink has a trigger associated with it. Okay. And the more emotion around what it is that we eat or drink, the more we like it, the more it makes us feel good, whatever it is, there's a trigger there. Okay. And so we're definitely going to talk about triggers, because that's a huge one for all of us. All right. Questions. And then I'm going to recap what we talked about today, but just let me see if anyone has questions. There were lots of good suggestions in the Facebook group about water. One of them is, it is the cucumbers in water, green tea, lemon slices to water. I mean, there's a ton of things that you can do. And what you really want to do is just make it so that that water is appealing to you. And it can be whatever, like, it can be whatever triggers you. Okay. So here's a suggestion. And I will talk about heart rate in just a sec, Gail. But like for me, I showed you this huge, massive jug. That jar, I've been dragging around with me for years. I cannot believe I haven't broken it. I've been dragging it around for years. It is the trigger that makes me drink water. Okay. If I have just a regular, I don't have a regular glass here, but just a regular glass sitting on my desk, I don't have the mental trigger to drink it. It's just sitting there, right? I don't really think about it. And the more I talk about water, the more Lisa's drinking water. But it's like, right? It is a trigger though. But the thing is that you need to find that thing that's going to make you want to drink it. My sister, she has this big Yeti, like, cold cup. I mean, it's this massive thing that she drags around with her. It's like her goy, but it makes her drink water. So like just looking for what that thing is that's going to trigger you in a good way to drink the water. And I realize that we're talking about triggers right now, but this is something that, it's in there, and it's in there for all of us. So just thinking about this. All right. And then what else? Let's see. I'm just looking at my notes real quick. I'm going to give you guys like this super just aside here. If any of you guys are out doing a lot of hiking or a lot of biking, and you're using like a hydro pack, like a Camelback, don't put the cucumber or the lemon or the lime or whatever it is in your hydro pack. Okay. Like just don't do it. Just straight water, because you will, you'll end up with a mess in there after a while. So I have lots of people who are like, I'm drinking more water. I've got my hydro pack. I've got, lemon juice in it. Not a good idea. So complete aside, but just FYI, because I know that I have a lot of people in here who are, you're big athletes. You get outside and do things. So do it. Congratulations. All right. Let me look at my notes real quick. While I'm looking at notes, I'm going to basically ask you guys what other questions you have. Okay. And then we're going to wrap. All right. Any other questions? Okay. So heart rate. Gail asked about heart rate. So what I was really talking about, more than just heart rate, is you have it's called your heart rate variable heart rate. And let me, instead of going on and on about it right now, if you don't mind, Gail, let me put a note, like an article about it in the Facebook group, because there's a lot to it and I can like totally go down a rabbit hole on this one. So, but what I'm just going to say super high level is that when you're tracking your sleep, um, you're tracking your sleep, and when you're tracking your sleep, you're tracking a couple of things. One of them is you're tracking how much sleep you get, right? Then you're tracking, and to do this, you have to do what I talk next about. You have to have something that tracks it. I mean, I use something called, is it there? An Aura ring. It's OURA, I think. And the Aura ring, I like it because it just sits on my finger. I never think about it. And it's tracking my REM sleep, my light sleep, my deep sleep, and my overall sleep. Then it talks about and then it tracks my variable heart rate, and it also tracks temperature. And these things all tell you a little bit about how your body's doing. And one of the interesting things is a friend of mine, she's I'm trying to think of what she calls herself. She's a health architect. And she did a whole study on using herself as the guinea pig on using the Aura ring and drinking wine, sleeping, and looking at what's changed, right? And then not drinking wine, sleeping, and what changed. And what she found, and it's wine or sugar, it really doesn't matter. What she found is that her sleep was a lot better when she wasn't consuming sugar or wine. And I can tell you this, I mean, I've done the same thing. But she really dove into the variable heart rate, because she talked about the fact that even when she got good sleep, if she was drinking wine, that dropped. So let me stopping now, and I'm going to add that. I'm going to add an article about that into the group so that you guys can read about it. Okay. I'm going to also add into the group the juice that I was talking about. And the one thing I can say about this juice, the other thing they had these little shots, like juice shots. And I was like, no, I don't need a juice shot. But if you wanted to make your water have some flavor to it, you could use these juice shots. So I'll put that in there. And then if anyone's interested, I'll put a link to the Aura ring in there. I like the ring, but I mean, that's just me. I think that Fitbits probably do the same thing, quite frankly. I think I don't know, there's probably a lot of trackers out there that do the same darn thing. Okay, any other questions? And if there are no other questions, then I'm going to just check the Facebook comments real quick, and then I'm going to just wrap up today. And I'm not going to check the Facebook comments because they won't seem to be open for me. So never mind. Okay, so wrapping up. What you're looking at right now, I mean, now you're getting serious about, well, first, we have our why, right? Everyone's got their why. You know why you want to do this, whether it's you want to feel better, you want to lose that belly. Oh, I was going to tell you all this. So I did a survey last night, and the group is 3 to 4 weeks in the fitness group. And let me just remember everything. 3 to 4 weeks in, because some people started at different times. Average, most people have lost about 1 inch to 2 inches around their belly and about 1 inch to 2 inches around their waist. So that is, and that's not like, this isn't like we've just like dropped all this weight, right? What we've dropped is a bunch of excess fluff. Let's call it fluff. So everybody is feeling more slender. Everybody is sleeping better. Everybody, as far as I know, said that their mood is a lot straighter, or a lot more calm, right? I know for myself, I can tell you this, is that I'm definitely a whole lot chiller, definitely more chill. And sleeping, like I sleep. I'm a good sleeper. I'm already a good sleeper, but boy, no sugar, I am like a brilliant sleeper. So my sleep is great. So and I've lost, like I did the measurement just like everybody else, because I could feel that my jeans, I liked my yoga pants better, right? Quite frankly, because my jeans were feeling a little bit uncomfortable. So I've lost some weight around my stomach too. So yeah, I just wanted to give you that, because I was asking last night. I thought, how is it going for everybody? All right, so we're going to wrap up by saying this weekend, okay, now until Monday, okay, because Monday is a great day to start your 30 days, because it's beginning of the month, right? Brand new week. Between now and then, what you want to do is you want to clean out the cabinets. You want to clean out the refrigerator. You want to clean out the freezer. You want to get the junk out. Oh, and I do need to say something. Okay. I'm going to digress for a second. Just because potato chips don't have sugar in them doesn't mean there's something to eat. Okay. Like sometimes people will be like, well, if I'm not eating ice cream, maybe I can eat the Fritos or the potato chips or whatever it is, right? No, I mean, don't substitute junk food for getting rid of your sugar. Okay. You're just promise me. Okay. It's really not food. So you're cleaning out the junk out of your cabinet. Then what you're going to do is you're going to replace with some good stuff, like the things that are, more nutritionally dense. Grab the nuts, get some raw nuts. You don't need to get the roasted, salted, blah, blah, blah nuts. Get some raw nuts. And if you're going to get peanut butter, get the stuff that's just mushed, like just mushed peanuts, not the extra sugar stuff. But replace some of the things in your cabinet with the healthy food that you need to be eating. Okay. When you're shopping, you know the drill. You're basically shopping the perimeter of the store, and the perimeter of the store is where you're going to have your fresh foods, your fresh meats, your fresh dairy, whatever it is. I mean, that's basically, your nuts aren't going to be there, but everything else is going to be on the perimeter pretty much. Start looking at labels. Look at your all brand label. Just like look at the labels, because you're going to find that things that you might have thought were just perfectly great aren't. Like, there's a lot of added sugar in them. And then, drink more water. Find your protein. Okay. For me, since I am a vegetarian, I'm not vegan. There's a lot more cheese being consumed in my house. But if you're not that, get some great food. Like I know in my group, 2 people were like, I'm having a good steak this weekend. And great. Like it's whatever works for you, but up your protein some. Okay. And just start looking at the labels. And if something doesn't have a label, it's probably better for you. Right. And I guess one thing that we didn't talk about was fruit. I don't think you should quit eating fruit. I think that we should probably be a little careful with our fruit, right? Like if what your fruit consumption becomes is like 5 cups of grapes because you're replacing it, probably not the best thing, but we're all smart people, right? We're all smart women here. So just, clean it up a little bit. Start it in. This weekend is about making some new recipes, like just figuring it out. Okay. So that you're ready to go on Monday with this. And I promise you, it will be brilliant for you. I promise. Also, if you're planning on joining me in the 30-day program, I'm going to start it on Monday too. And basically what we're going to do, I'll send you the details later. I'm not going to do a big sales pitch here, but what you're going to find is you're going to find accountability and you're going to find community. Because what I've noticed is that that's the glue that seems to help more than anything, is that when you've got that accountability and then you've got the community, and the community happens in a lot of different ways. It happens in a Facebook group. It'll happen via text. It can happen via Voxer. Accountability. I'll make some calls every week. And, I'm here. I'm here for you because I know the first time I did this, I literally white knuckled myself through 30 days. And it was just like, oh, did that. And then I just went right back to the old way. And I realized later that just didn't do me any good, right? So I want us to be able to have something that actually makes this work for everybody for a long term, okay? Not a short term. This is a long-term goal. All right. Thank you all so much for being here. I went way over. I apologize. Wasn't watching the time and I didn't realize it'd been an hour. Well, not quite an hour, but pretty damn close to an hour. So thank you all for being here. And I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. I will send you some information and y'all have a wonderful day. Okay. Wonderful, wonderful day. Bye-bye. Hugs. See ya.